Welcome back. I'm Jonette Crowley. Well, so far, if you've stayed with me, we've been through the first 5 dimensions. So we're amped up, we're souped up, literally. Our frequencies are going. We have codes embedded in us that are talking to us. Our DNA is on high alert for any evidence of life above the 4th dimension. The satellite dishes are up there, so now, I think a lot of you felt something in that. I had some people say you almost passed out, you were dizzy. So those first dimensions are in the physical world, and so they're much more experiential in a way that we understand. But now when we get to the higher dimensions, the 6th dimension is what we call magnetic consciousness or unity consciousness. So most of us love the first 5 dimensions because we can feel something. That's where you're going to feel lights. That's where you're going to feel angels and guides. And at the 6th dimension, we take all that away. So no longer can you feel anything. And so the good news is, those of you who feel like you've never gotten anything your whole life, when everybody else gets so much in meditations, finally, you've been waiting for the higher dimensions. It's not you haven't been getting it. It's just you were wired for the higher dimensions where there is silence. So, gone are the bells and whistles, gone are the energy waves. The 6th dimension is this space that feels like nirvana. When Mark first took us there years and years ago, I think we spent 5 years just in the 6th dimension. It's still within time-space, but very different. It's moving us out of the time-space reality. Where we move is we move away from force, from force, where there's effort, where you have to do something, where you have to push, where there's energy. And we move into this subtle plane of power. So not force, but power. How does power feel? Imagine, how does power feel when it's not forceful? Well, we don't know how it feels. Pure power without movement is something we hardly ever stop to feel. So the 6th dimension would be a space of pure power. No movement, no energy, but it totally revamps us, and it makes us more alert to those worlds where there are miracles. Because miracles can't be explained. Miracles don't have effort, or it wouldn't be a miracle. So the 6th dimension we also call the place of miracles. It feels like unity consciousness. There's power, not force. As I said, when we got there, it felt to me like nirvana. I thought, wow, we finally reached the place that I've always wanted to go. And I would just hang out there and be there, and that was lovely. And sometimes in the very beginning, because I'd never been to such a high space, I go, wow, this is such a high space. Oh, I can really pray for the world from here. So I start praying, and I crash out of the dimension. I'm a slow learner. So I get back there again. It's just bliss and openness. Nothing's happening. And then I think, oh, there's just so much that can be done here. So I go up there, and as soon as I have a sense that I have to do something, I crash out of it. It was the 3rd time when the voice of Mark comes in my head, and he goes, Jonette, this is a place of being, not doing. In fact, in the 6th dimension and above, not only is there no doing, no effort, it's not tolerated. So the universe says, when I get to that high space and I want to do things, I want to fix things, I want to heal the world, the universe says, fine, we have a world for that, but it's down here. So look at what we have to give up to stay in the higher dimensions. We have to give up our savior complex of fixing things. We have to give up that we can fix things. We have to give up our commitment to knowing the world by experiencing it. So in all the lower dimensions, our 5 and 6 senses work. But when we get to the 6th dimension and above, those senses don't work. So the universe, if you say, oh no, I don't like that. I don't want just empty space. I want to go to a place where I can do things and see angels and hear messages, then the universe is fine. It moves you back down. So we have to give up all of our commitment to having actual experiences. You ready for that? That's a hard one. But what happens is, again, like being in a dark room, after a while, there is experience there, but it's not sensory. It's not the same way that we've sensed before. So we'll talk a little bit about it, and then we'll give you an experience of the 6th dimension. The 6th dimension changes everything. So it's a place of no effort. It's a place of grace and ease, no struggle. It's a place where miracles are precipitated from. You can't cause a miracle. So miracles come from a place of grace and ease. They can't be caused. They can just be received. So you can imagine how your life changes when you get comfortable in the 6th dimension. Now, it doesn't mean you just hang out in this space, because what we're trying to do is get us to be in the 5th, the 4th, and the 3D world as well. So we're trying to open that V and bring all the dimensions in. So a good way to describe the difference between power and force is the refrigerator at home. You've got a refrigerator. In order for it to keep your food cold, you've got to plug it in. It has to have a source of power all the time or your food goes bad. But so your refrigerator gets old and they cart it off to the dump. But on your refrigerator, there's a magnet of when you were at the Grand Canyon. And that magnet was on your refrigerator all the time. When your refrigerator was plugged in, it worked. And when your refrigerator gets carted off to wherever old refrigerators go, the magnet of the Grand Canyon is still on there. Now, you don't have to plug in that magnet. It stays on your refrigerator door. Why? Because it's the nature of the magnet to hold on. There is no effort. So we call this the magnetic dimension, because things follow from their nature, not because of effort or struggle. Can you imagine how being conversant in this space can change everything? So it was more than 2 years that we worked with the 6th dimension, because it took us so long to figure out how to feel this way and how to be okay with the nothingness. So let's have a mini meditation. But this one I'm going to tell you a little bit about. The way we've always gone to the 6th dimension and to the higher dimensions is through your heart. So get grounded, feel yourself light and spacey, atomically accelerated, then put your attention in your heart, and remember what we did at the very end of receiving the codes. Put them in our heart. That's now activated to take us to the next level. And then once you kind of fall into your heart, you just expand. You don't push, you just expand. And expand and expand and expand until there's no outer boundaries. And you feel like you're filling the entire space. So this is the first time where you actually feel infinite. At peace, infinite, heavenly, nothing to do, nothing to see, nothing to remember. And we're going to hang out here. Why? Because the more we hang out here, the more the space reformats our consciousness and says, if we do these little tweaks in your neurology, if we do these little tweaks in your soul, you will know this space. And when we know the space, we are connected to miracles. We are resonant with the sixth dimension, this miracles magnetic space. So when Mark leads us on this meditation, you'll just expand. Again, not to try, not to work hard, just allow and suspend. And this is also one of those meditations where you don't think you've gone anywhere until you try to come back and you go, wow, I don't even know where I am to come back from. Perfect. So this one significantly rewires your ability to be aware at the higher dimensions. This is a game changer. All right, ready? And then we're going to get to the seventh dimension too. So we'll see how efficiently we can do the sixth dimension without losing you. You guys are so good. I haven't even closed my eyes. Mark hasn't even come in, and the space is there. It's been hungry for you for all your lifetimes. And finally, you're leaving a few hours today to find what's always been there waiting for you to stop. So close your eyes and be embodied. Feel the loveliness in your body, in love with it. Welcome, cosmonauts. This is Mark. Welcome to the first of the more cosmic dimensions, the dimension of infinity. Find that beautiful magnetic heart and let it be what it was meant to be, a radiant, intercosmic beacon. You may actually feel that you're surfing on waves as you expand out from your heart space into infinity. Infinity never felt so friendly. A sense of timelessness draws you out. Outside of yourself. As you let it be okay to do nothing, to learn nothing, to be one with nothing. No things here. nothing to improve or fix. A space of being. The space itself will reformat you, will bring you home again and again and again. Fall open. Be comfortable with nowhere. Nowhere. Heart-centered eternity. Move your attention back to your heart if it's drifted up to your head. Your heart knows how to find this space, how to be. Watch your breathing change as this space takes hold of you and changes you into a higher being. Some of you are finding nuances here, like the infinity of infinity. Be even more still. This is truly a mystic's space. When you need a retreat, a bit of heaven, come here into the arms of this space. Grace and ease, no effort, no jobs. Deep being. Imagine that your foundation is here now, in the space of miracles. That you can declare yourself as magnetic, easily drawing into you that which is for your highest and best, easily pushing away from you magnetically anything that doesn't serve you. Trust the magnetism of this space. It's based in love. You don't need to control it. Love is a much higher controller than you. Magnetic being. Miracles. And with the next few breaths, consolidate yourself so that you're 3D. You're a light body. You're a packet of codes, and you are in this place of nirvana, of expanded consciousness. So give it a minute to feel integrated, that all dimensions so far are finding harmony in yourself. Good. And you can almost feel that you're clicking things in, that you're realigning, reharmonizing, that this dimension now is as you integrate, is moving and changing all the other dimensions, especially your physical world. Feel this dimension clicking into place. It's home now. Beautiful. So keep the space with you and be back here. It's not an either or world anymore. Thank you. So, with the sixth dimension, it's important to remember that experience itself, sensing, is no longer important. Keep coming back to that, because the higher dimensions are so subtle that if you require proof, you'll just stay in the lower worlds, and that's fine. You can live a whole life in the lower worlds, but you'll never be who you were meant to be. So, the sixth dimension, magnetic, miracles. Our favorite part? Being, not doing. And watch for this in your life, because you'll see magnetically more happens to you. Just because you're who you are, good happens and bad does not. It disengages. So just notice that and give credit, pat yourself on the back, say, oh, I am a sixth dimensional being. But because we're trying to do 10 dimensions in one day, no time to rest on our laurels or wherever you're resting, let's go and look at the seventh dimension. Holographic. All right. So from the sixth to the seventh is also a major shift. We move, even though the sixth dimension is expansive, it's still within time and space. So it's infinite time and space, but we still have time and space. Once we go across to the seventh dimension, we're even leaving space-time behind. We're truly crossing a new barrier. So the seventh dimension really messes you up, and that's the goal. Holographic. Okay, so in the sixth dimension, you were still singular. You were just big, right? You went to your heart. You got really, really, really big, but you still knew it was you. To get to the seventh, to get to any of the higher dimensions, you have to be willing to give up your locality, your specificity in time and space. So this is what Mark calls holographic. So we know what a hologram is. It's as if, so what I imagine is that I exist everywhere. I'm blown apart. In every particle of the universe, there's Jonette. And in every particle of the universe is all of you. So you no longer are centered any specific place. You're centered in every particle of the universe, and so is everything else, right? So try to get your heads around that. And once you do, you are holographic, not just in space. It's easy to think, okay, I've blasted myself, I exist everywhere in space. But imagine you're holographic in time too, so that you exist throughout all time as well. The strange thing about it, and what changes you and makes you into a multidimensional being, is our willingness to let go of your specific locality. This is me. I live here. When you've really become holographic, you'll sit down to meditate, and you know how you find yourself before you meditate? And you'll find, it sounds like Dr. Seuss, you'll find that where you were wasn't there. And you'll realize that your address has changed. You know, and that's what's to be celebrated. You no longer are just here. So when you get disoriented that way, it means you finally encompass this seventh dimension of being holographic, being everywhere. But look at what it does to our mind. We, because of our religious upbringing, we think of there's got to be a big bang. There's got to have been a beginning. There's got to be source. There's the great central sun, or there's God's source. Well, when you're holographic, you realize there's no singular source. There's no center control. The control is everywhere. You following me? So if you think about birds flying, or you think about fish swarming around, you'll notice that there's not one fish that says, okay, we're all going to turn left now. We saw the video earlier of the starlings. What you see is there's an intelligence embedded in every particle of the universe. So how does that change us when we're with that intelligence? We're just responding to that intelligence that's everywhere. So for me, it was disruptive of my idea that there's source, that we came from source, we're going to source, source somehow directs us, because I realized that if this holographic feeling I'm feeling is real, and it must be because I'm experiencing it, then that means source is everywhere. The universe has no center. It's created out of every particle. So you can imagine this changes how big we are. When we exist everywhere, that idea of non-locality that I talked about earlier, where we are entrained, we are entangled, quantum entanglement, with everything through time and space, that begins to feel very real now with the idea of being holographic. So we will do a meditation, but Mark kind of played with this a little bit when he was talking about being holographic. He said, okay, so there you are, and you've expanded, and you live everywhere in the universe, and everybody else does. So I can kind of get there. I can kind of see that I'm everywhere. And he says, okay, now raise your arm in your hologram. And of course, every other hologram of Jonette raises her arm, and that's okay. And then he says, okay, now raise your arm and look around at all the other holograms. And they weren't raising their arm. I'm going, oh, they're not mirrors of Jonette. They are their own individual existence. Those other Jonettes aren't raising their arms, aren't moving at all. In fact, they don't look like Jonette. They don't look like Jonette's past lives or future lives. They look like everything. So what you begin to realize, so at first you'll think, they're all mirrors and we're all that. But what if every hologram of you isn't the you think you are? Everyone is an individual having its own experience. And it might not even be human. Anyway, so again, disruption. Mark's goal, in order to get us to a significantly higher level, we have to let go of how we structured our lower levels. Or else we're just stuck. We just stay here. And if we truly want to be multidimensional, everything that we've taken as important in our identity has to be not only questioned, but totally blasted apart. Let's see what else before we try it. This is one of those places that you can't make it happen. You kind of just go to this holographic space, and Mark, he knows how to kind of finagle your neurons or whatever he's finagling. He knows how to change us, but you just wait and wait until all of a sudden there's a switch and you go, oh, I left myself. I am everywhere. So we have a little video of one of those optical illusions So where you look at it and it looks one way, and then you have to wait until all of a sudden it spins the other way and you can't make it happen. So in a minute, we're going to look at this optical illusion, and you just have to relax. So becoming holographic, you also just have to relax and wait till it finds you. So let's take a look. Because all of a sudden, she'll turn the other way. And you don't know how it happened. Maybe you looked away. And you can't imagine how you saw her going the first way. So when we move into this holographic place, it really will be, you just hang there until all of a sudden you're no longer sourced in a singular way. You're holographic through all time and all space. And don't you like it? We're dancing through dimensions. All right. I love the seventh dimension because this is truly a game changer. It makes us realize that singularity isn't important, and it's just as easy to be everywhere as it's to be nowhere. Let me tell you kind of an example of what happens when we are more founded in these higher dimensions, the seventh dimension and above. Weird things happen because you can time travel, right? Because you don't really travel, you're already there. You just focus on that part of you that's already in that time or already in that space. So I do personal readings for people. I was doing a personal reading for a guy named Adam, and he had some issue, and we thought that the best way to fix it was to go into one of his past lives, where he was a lady, he was very poor, he had lots and lots of kids. So in these sessions, I go with them. So they see their past life and I see it too. So I kind of join them and we travel into the past life. So we pop into Adam's past life, and there's he. So we're looking at it as observers. There's he is this woman, and all her kids are lining up there. And I've done this a million times. I watch the past life. I help Adam kind of interact in a different way. But this time, as Adam and I got into this other time, the mother, the woman he was, and one of the kids saw us. They didn't know what we were, ghosts or whatever, but they clearly could tell that we had entered that time. Now, this sounds weird, but this is more real than this. So these are the beginning of being quantum, of picking different potentials, of changing the past, of changing the future, of knowing the future. How do you do it? You have to be holographic. So, you ready to try? You did the 6 very well. So this one you have to be patient because it just happens. And if you think about it, you go, oh, it just happened. You'll go back down to the 3D. So again, isn't it nice? There's nothing you really have to do. You're just sitting here. Mark's doing it all. And you can trust that it happens because we've been over 30 years making these stepping stones across the river. And we know we're on this stepping stone. We know it works. We know it's between the 6th and the 8th. And we've been waiting for you. This is about the most fun you can have without drugs, I'm told. The holographic universe. Again, be grounded. Your body's integral in this. And gently expand to to that space of the sixth dimension where you're just expanded from your heart. Spend a few breaths in the sixth dimension. Feeling holy, whole. No hurry, no time. And when you're ready to take the plunge, imagine that you are breaking apart into infinite holograms through time and space. You're letting go of one identity, one location, and playing with being everywhere. And you'll feel you're not getting it, and that's just fine. Just keep coming back to your heart. Become part of the fabric of the universe. Centered everywhere, fully existent everywhere through time and space. Just keep relaxing. Remember, you can't try. You can't do anything past the sixth dimension. When the shift happens, it's subtle, but you'll never get the genie back in the bottle again. Your awareness is fractal. It's everywhere. Once you sense that you've broken apart and let your awareness become fractured into holograms, sense that everything else is a hologram too, that you're interconnected holographically with all things, all time, all space. The seventh dimension begins to give you a new structure for joy. If you see yourself as singular, there's only so much love and joy you can experience. But if you know yourself is everywhere, imagine the love and joy you can experience. It's a knowing. The seventh dimension is a place of knowing. No need to hold on. Remember, the knowing is always there, everywhere. It's not so much to give up one perspective, so you can have all perspectives. The wisdom of the universe comes through you and every fractal you are. Like the wisdom of the universe turns the birds to fly around. Imagine a world without hierarchy. A world that simply expresses the intelligence of the universe everywhere. And imagine that you have opened the gate to this world, to this being. The genie is out of the bottle, and you are the genie. This is a space I invite you to visit so it can reformat you for what's beyond. Because the seventh dimension is so different than what came before. Coming here when you have space to be quiet brings it closer home to you. It brings you such a sense of peace and trust because you no longer need to know things, you are knowing. The urgency of life goes away when you know yourself is everywhere through time and space. So find your heart again. We'll anchor all these spaces always in your quantum heart. So even though you're in your body, know yourself is everywhere. Infinity times infinity. And then do a scan of your body inside to feel how it's taking this in, because the holographic dimension recode, we talked about codes and geometries, it places new codes, new geometries in your body. So give it a minute to sense that. You're being uploaded, downloaded from the cloud. New version of you. You may feel a bit weird, you may feel a bit fragile. Again, it's subtle though. And like when you're downloading an app from the cloud, the circle just goes around and around, you have to wait. So the circle's going round and round, we're just waiting. And the screen will open up and tell you download complete. Take a few deep breaths. So, that seventh dimension, as I said, it's a game changer. It disrupts everything that you were before, and it gives you you at so many levels. And also, this is where time travel begins. This is where astral projecting or being in one place and suddenly appearing somewhere else. This all starts here because you don't travel between this part of you and that part of you. You just recognize that this part of you is that part of you, and this one might be in Manhattan and you're here in Denver. And when we realize that this is one part of my hologram, this is another, that's the instantaneous thing that allows the masters to be from Colorado to Manhattan in no time, no space. So this holographic universe, again, it brings more miracles, more fullness, more richness, more love, a higher structure for joy than we've had before. And again, it's fun. I love to sit down and meditate and find that I'm not in that chair. I'm everywhere. And I hope that happens. You know, we took years and years and years to get there. I hope it happens just like this, because the being holographic is really the key to all of the higher dimensions, because it got us out of singularity, duality, and all the limitations that brings. So welcome to all of yourselves. Thank you.